Okay, hello and welcome. I will start handing out the syllabus stuff before I start the beginning. Hopefully everyone is doing all right. I'm not doing too badly. Hopefully everyone is well. I think I have one more person to hand it out to. He keeps moving around, so I'm not positive that I'm seeing everyone. But okay, there we go. If anybody ends up needing any of these handouts, please bash me over the head or something until I notice. Okay, so the way I'm going to attempt to run these is I will do the reading portion that is from the book, and then it'll give us a practice to try, and then we will do the writing practice for about 20 minutes or so, or 10 minutes, depending on how long everybody feels like, and then we'll go into the discussion and any sharing. And one more person to hand stuff to real quick. Next time I will have a box. I did not exactly have enough time to put the box together that I intended to do because it was the day of the delay. Alrighty, well, hopefully you can stay for long enough, and I intend to record at least the audio portion, and, oh, it better not be blank. Doggone it. Here, try this one. But my plan is to at least get the audio portion recorded and archived too. That way anybody that misses won't be left out in the cold and can catch up on their own time should they want to. We're going to be reading from a book called Writing Magic, Creating Stories That Fly by the author who wrote Ella Enchanted, actually. And I just spaced on what her name is. Gail Carson Levine. There it is. So she begins with what she calls a running start. This is a book about writing fiction, but it should help you write anything. Emails, essays, greeting cards, love letters, skywriting. Pick one of the options below that's included in your handout. If you need a new handout, please let me know. You can revise the sentences a little or a lot to make them work better for you. Feel free to change the names and to turn boys into girls or vice versa. And then she says to write for at least 20 minutes and to have fun. I'll read these prompts off, and then we'll continue the rest of the chapter before we actually pick up on the practice part. That way we can be thinking as we go. I have one green eye and one brown eye. The green eye sees truth, but the brown eye sees much, much more. The ghost was eating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Be nice, my father said. After all, he's your brother. I am the most famous 12-year-old in the United States. Jason had never felt so foolish before and hoped he'd never feel so foolish again. If somebody didn't do something soon, they were going to have a catastrophe on their hands. Allison was the runt of the family, born small and ill-favored, and by the time she was 13, she was still small and ill-favored. Another one goes, it was a witchy house. The low-slung roof, that quiet gray paint, those squinting, shuttered windows, and the empty porch rocker that rocked, 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 day and night. The first time I saw Stephen, he painted a hex sign on my right arm, and I couldn't move my fingers for 3 hours. And the last prompt is, Miss Fleming's wig had gone missing. Some of these have repetition in them, a lot of them have a lot of description, but it's putting you right in the action straight from the beginning. So we will be working on writing stories from one or more of those prompts in just a bit. She continues to say that if you've not finished your story by the time we reach the end of the workshop, to save it so you can work on it later. And save it even if you have finished it. If you want to go back and use one of the other beginnings to write another story, help yourself. 2 stories are better than 1, and 3 are better than 2. But here are a few rules for the book and for writing in general. The best way to write better is to write more, is rule number 1, which also happens to be number 2 and number 3. Number 4, the best way to write more is to write whenever you have 5 minutes and wherever you find a chair and a pen and paper or your computer. Number 5 says to read. Most likely you don't need this rule. If you enjoy writing, you probably enjoy writing. And reading. The payoff for this pleasure is that reading books shows you how to write them. And number 6 is to reread. There is nothing wrong with reading a book you love over and over. When you do, the words get inside of you, become part of you, in a way that words in a book you've read only once can't. And number 7, which is the most important rule in my opinion, is to save everything you write, even if you don't like it, even if you hate it. I've got a lot of those. Save it for a minimum of 15 years. At that time, if you want to, you can throw it out. But even then, don't discard your writing lightly. She wants to explain that rule. I used to think long ago that when I grew up, I'd remember what it felt like to be a child and that I'd always be able to get back to my child self. But I can't. When you become a teenager, you step onto a bridge. You may already be on it. The opposite shore is adulthood. Childhood lies behind. The bridge is made of wood. As you cross, it burns behind you. That's a pretty apt description. Sometime last year, I think it was, I brought in an early draft from one of my first novels I was working on, from the Shadow Chronicles, and that was a very different mindset than what I write now, which is part of why rewriting that for publication is going to be so hard. But revising is something that you can do if you have had the foresight to keep your old writing. If you save what you write, you still won't be able to cross back to childhood, she continues. But you'll be able to see yourself in that lost country. You'll be able to wave to yourself across that wide river. Whether or not you continue to write, you'll be glad to have the souvenirs of your earlier self. And it is nice at times to look back at what you had written and see how far you've come, because that is another good way to measure your progress and how your writing has matured. Whether or not you continue to write, you'll be glad to have the souvenirs. She gives us 3 items that aren't rules, but are vows that are actually pretty useful to write down and post somewhere where you can look at them every day, and they're a bit universal. They can apply to more than just writing. The writer's oath goes, I promise solemnly to write as often and as much as I can, to respect my writing self, and to nurture the writing of others. You can replace that with anything other than writing that you are trying to be passionate about. I accept these responsibilities and shall honor them always. And that is where that chapter ends, so we can go back to our prompts and work on writing them, or if you have anything that you would like to discuss or ask questions about, we can do that as we work on our writing. And you can do that in text or you can do that on voice. Either way works just fine. That's okay, Morgan. I really did not expect you to be hooked up to voice at this hour anyway. Just like I don't get on voice in the morning because I'm croaky then. Well, that's fine too. But yeah, I can see why you would want to come, since, you know, it does have bearing on your reading. You do great with haikus. I've seen some good stories that are written in poetry form. Oh, okay. Good night, Zay.
I say good night.
Merlin says good night too, in case you didn't hear him. If you want to, and you don't have to work on anything from these story prompts. If you want to work on a poem or something, that would be cool too, actually. Or you can just sit there and chat and observe and whatever. Any tip-tapping you hear from me is going to be scratching at attempting something from one of these prompts, though. Or if you want to, we could all pick one and try to write a group story from it. It's up to you guys. Okie dokie.
And install it. Good, and try to do your best.
Okay. Okay, Marilyn.
And find where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
You can unplug now.
No, because it's still recording. Every Halloween, we dared each other to go knock, but no one was brave enough. The windows were always lighted. Lighted then. Candles flickering in the gloaming, beckoning, mystic finger, flickers. Jack-o'-lanterns grinned, and the black cats arched their back inside that ever-rocking rocking chair.
Almost done.
Mm-hmm.
I set up with the crisis is 4.
Hold on now.
Or with a mod.
Mm-hmm.
Press Q. Click on weapons and pick a twice this weapon.
Okay, Merlin. I'm trying to concentrate right now.
Okay.
Okay. We'll just have to be patient, okay, Marilyn? Okay.
Done?
Not quite, Marilyn. Okay?
Okay, you listening?
Mm-hmm. Two-fingering is okay, Morgan. Yes, go ahead and put that in a note card. And I will save mine and show you all what I wrote, which is not my normal caliber. So you guys don't have to pass around your stories if you don't want to. I'm just sharing because I can. Well, with the project that you're working on, Mythos, I would expect it to hurt your head.
I'm almost half tempted to get drunk tonight and just start writing it then. Writing the rest of it then, because I expect this to have like 6 pages to it by the end of it.
Oh boy. Well, that would help with what you're...
It's coherent, and that's the problem. Like, I put a period in, and Microsoft Word accepted it as coherent, and I cried. It's not terrible.
Now, Morgan, you say you're not a writer, but this is a pretty good story. Yeah, I really, really like your story, Morgan. That is cute.
Hey Morgan, and hi, and Patrick was pin. I like the phone ball.
Why do I hear a phone? Cat's weird.
Dirt.
Yeah, I couldn't let the haunted house thing with the rocking chair go. That grabbed me as soon as I read it. Hold on, Ron.
Oh.
Merlin, watch your language.